It's hard until someone actually becomes a first-year junior player, or I'm talking high-level junior. It's really hard to understand because it just will never make sense to you because like one of the first things I put here, I got to put my glasses on, is that you are going to be, as you said, you're probably, if you're a first-year junior guy at 16 or 17 years old, you probably were the best kid on your team or right around there. And you're probably even maybe the best top 10 in Ontario or something like that. When you went on tournaments, you were probably the best guy on the ice most nights. If you're a 16-year-old rookie in the OHL, and then even in junior B or tier 2, junior A, like you have to be a pretty good player. So you're used to being really good. You're used to being a go-to guy. You're used to getting ice. You're used to the coach looking at you, counting on you. These are the things, and it's just hard to even grasp that playing hockey at any other level could be more difficult. It's almost impossible to grasp. And you believe that you're a good player, right? So in my son's instance, he was 31st overall in the OHL draft. That's a good player. So the thing is that no matter how much I prepared for him for what was coming, when the reality came in, it was like a shovel across the head. And this guy is prepared. So, for example, the first time that he wasn't getting a regular shift, his wheels are spinning. And the thought process with the whole family, not me, but my wife, everybody, is like, well, he's doing well. What, like, he could get out there, like, and he could, he might. But the thing is that it's just not the way it works as a first year guy, typically, as you said, except for the 1%. And I'm talking like the superstars.
Yep.
Most kids are not stepping in at a first, second line role. And if you look through the history of first rounders, it's just the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to be any different than anybody. You're just not going to be different. So the problem is most players, and I've said this before, overestimate how good they are, underestimate how good the leagues are and the players that they're playing against, and what age, 3, 4, 5 years age difference, what the difference of that is. So it's shocking, but it's going to happen, and you got to learn how to deal with that. So that's the number one thing, is you go into these things overestimating, and then you probably think that you could do the job, but you actually can't at this point. It's because you have to remember, like, let's say in the OHL, for example, or like, here's the thing. You might be able to play and have a decent shift on a regular basis, but make no mistake, you are going to make costly mistakes to your team. My son's done it twice in 6 games where he would have never done that in midget. Just, it wasn't going to happen. So when he makes that mistake as a 16-year-old kid, should the coach sit there and say, oh, the poor kid, or, well, he's going to make a mistake? Or does he give that shift to a guy that's been there for 3 years and was a second rounder 3 years ago, who's not going to make that mistake because he took that puck off the wall 800 times in this league? He doesn't make that mistake, whereas my son has taken that puck off the wall 21 times, and he's made a mistake twice.
Mm-hmm.
So when the game is on the line and this coach has a job to do and they're trying to win a championship and build a future, he's just in a better place to take that older guy that has experience, who's not going to make that mistake because he's just not, and put him on the ice because he knows that he's going to have a better chance of winning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
And there's something to say about, like, even though you might even have better skill than someone, it's the experience.
Yes.
It's like face-offs. If you go into, like, let's say you go in the NHL and you think you're good at face-offs and you go against Patrice Bergeron, Joe Thornton, and you've thought, I'm really good at face-offs, and you can't win one because they've seen you, man. They've seen you. They've been in the league for 20 years.
Yeah.
They've taken thousands and thousands and thousands of face-offs against the best players. You've only taken a couple against some good players.
Yeah.
So you're not beating them, and it takes experience to do that. You'll never understand that. You'll never understand how good these people are until you actually get there.
Mm-hmm.
and it's the experience that makes all the difference. So that's my first part.
Yeah. So just hopping in on that. So what the danger in a lot of the thinking for kids, especially kids that are higher, end up being higher draft picks, but even if they're playing junior B and they're just like a better player on their junior B team, the danger is you do this, the thing that I always talk about is where you compare yourself to like the extreme examples, right? So I just pulled up two here that I just want to look at real quick. So the first one, I pulled up McDavid for people to look at because this is what people think their career is going to be like. Okay. So obviously first overall, OHL, underage, steps into Erie, plays 63 games, gets 63 points in his rookie season. Okay. And then he did that for 3 years and doubled his points by the end. First overall to NHL in 2015, played 45 games, had 48 points in his rookie year.
It's incredible.
Okay. That's so ridiculously outside the norm.
Yeah.
So let's take another. And so this is best there is. This is the best example. This is what people think, though. They think they're going to jump in and score 20 goals in their first year. Okay. So the other guy that popped into my head because I thought of McDavid on Edmonton is Cass. Okay. Zach Kassian. Great. Another perfect example. So he was 4th overall in the OHL draft.
4th overall.
4th overall. So he hops in, plays 58 games, 60 whatever game season, 20 points. Okay. -1. So he was in the lineup, but he's not getting great ice.
Yep.
20 points. Okay. Goes 13th overall to the NHL. That's an extremely high pick.
13th best player in the world.
Okay. So his first season, he got sent back to junior. He didn't play.
Yeah.
His after his last year, he went and played in the AHL, played 30 games, had 26 points, got 27 games with Buffalo, and then 17 games with Vancouver after his overage year in the OHL, and he had 10 points.
Yep.
Then he played in the AHL again for 30 games in the 2012 season. Then he went up to Vancouver and played 40 games and had 11 points, -7. So this guy's not an established player until the 2016 season.
Yeah, so 3-4 years?
Yeah. So he played, so there's 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and then he played 79 games with Edmonton in 2016. 2016 was his first full season not playing any AHL games. That's the 13th overall pick in the NHL. Nobody's as good as him.
That's right.
He's the 13th overall pick.
Yeah.
So the danger when you're doing these comparisons, like you think when you're going to hop in as a rookie that you're going to have the McDavid track where you play 60 games and get 60 points. Yeah. There's no, that's not happening. No, I just gave you a guy that came 3 picks later, 4th overall in the OHL.
Yeah.
And he's getting 20 points in his first season.
Yeah.
And not good ice.
Yeah.
He's not a go-to guy.
That's right.
So it's like when you're transitioning, if you're mom and dad, or if you're a kid transitioning into junior hockey, especially, because after junior hockey, you should know the process. But especially when you're transitioning into junior hockey, you should hope for the best, for sure. Like hope that you're going to get great ice and whatever, but you should be expecting to not. Because then if the expectation is that you're not going to get it and you're going to have to earn everything you get and all of that, and you go in with that mentality, now you're not smacked in the head with the shovel and you're still going to get smacked in the head with the shovel because you're not used to the reality that you're not the best guy on the team anymore. But at least you know that that's the norm. And you don't feel like, when you talked about your own experience, you don't feel like, wow, I'm no good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you're young and you don't have that experience that you're talking about. So they're going to go down the bench and pick the guy that has the experience now instead of you, right? So that's kind of the mentality shift that most kids need to make, because you're not going to follow McDavid's track, man. Like you're not, right?
And maybe someone, but it'll be years.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, and that's what we always talk about when you compare yourself to different players, and because we talk about trying to find your role and compare yourself to different guys and whatever, and you have to be really honest about that, because when you make the jump to junior, the chances that you're going to just have a smooth process where it feels like minor hockey, where you just jump in and you dominate right away, or you jump in and just have a really strong first season by the numbers right away. Yeah. It's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And that is the vast, vast, vast majority of players that come in as rookie. Even if you're a top pick, even if you're a first rounder, I just gave you a great example with Cass. right? First rounder, high pick, NHL and OHL.
Yeah.
And he had to take the time, man. He had to take the punches, and that's just what's going to happen for you.